All right, sorry. Keeping on here. So, like I was saying, Floor Jansen talking about how James Hetfield was watching Nightwish, came to the concert. So, can you imagine one of the biggest heavy and most iconic heavy metal bands? Whether you like Metallica, Metallica versus Megadeth, whatever. I like both bands. I don't really care. I don't care about the politics of it. But whether you love Metallica or you've never heard Metallica, which if you've never heard Metallica, and Elvis Presley is kind of like one of those things that if you've never heard either of these two bands before, like what rock are you living under? You know what I mean? But time moves on. I mean, there are people today that have never heard Elvis before, and I'm just like, but how? Like there are people that have never heard Metallica before, but I'm like, but fucking how? Like how could you have not heard something from Metallica? Like even if you're not in the genre, like Metallica is just so dominant out there. Um, so to have a band that big, one of their band members come to want to see you live, that means you're offering something really cool. So when you getting back to Visions of Atlantis, so you've got this phenomenal singer. Well, again, both of them are really good singers, but she's the showpiece. She's the uh, you know like his voice I think is actually really good live too. He's got a really cool voice because sometimes the duet things don't translate where like you got this phenomenal female singer and you have this either usually it's a phenomenal male singer but an overbearingly like speed metal kind of guy, right? So you can't work the voices together. It's just like this guy's just too much octane, you know what I mean? To be able to go with that nice smooth female voice, right? But the perfect voicing voice is a male voice compiled with a female voice. So when these two do it, it's like you get the lows from the male and the mid range from the male, and then you get these extremely nice high mids from the female, and then really nice highs because she has a very high timbre voice, right? Um, so when you hear this in synchronized singing, it's actually like the perfect sounding melody. Like it just brings the melody to life because it just has so much dimensions to it, and that's something I think they do extremely well. I've listened to as many songs from them as I possibly could. Their big ones are obviously the Melancholy Angel one is, I don't know if that's their number one song, but that's one of their newest songs, and Legions of the Sea, which I think is a fantastic song as well. Both songs are excellent. If you want to be put into a good mood, Legions of the Sea. I just love I like the cinematic of the video and whatever, but I just love how they do it live with, she comes out friggin' flying their flag instead, and like a pirate flag, but it's like with their logo on it. Like it's a cool little touch to the show, right? Her entrance into the show where she comes in with the like a cloak on, and then she flips it back as she's singing, like to reveal herself to the audience, and very nicely done, very nicely done. And then he comes out with his pirate hat and stuff like that, and the pirate hat I think just makes the show, and he's dressed up in like a 1700s goth symphonic metal pirate, you know what I mean? So they do the presentation well, and the band they're kind of there, but they're active in the show, but they're not the focus of the show, but they're very out front, especially a lot of the places they play are a lot smaller, but you really do see the focus on the two singers, but the band is there, being interacted with the singers, where a lot of these bands, the band is like back here, and then the singers are back or up front here, and the band is back here. Where with these guys, they seem to be like this. You know what I mean? So here's your guitar player, here's your bass player, the drummer. Well, he has to be, he's kind of stationary, right? But he's still in on the show because the singer, they go back and they mess around with the drummer guy, hitting the cymbals and doing the, fake air punch and stuff like that. So it really does show that this band really puts a lot of pride into giving you an experience live. And whether they look at it like that or not, I don't know. Maybe that's just because it's something they would want to see themselves. You know what I mean? Like if I went to a show, what I want to see, I'd want to see this chick in pirate boots, you know, flying a flag with a symphonic metal, angelic like voice. You know what I mean? Now, for her vocal abilities, what she has and what she doesn't have. Floor Jansen being the gold standard of a female singer that can do absolutely everything. There's this woman goes from opera to raspy rock. I've never really heard her do like low growling. It doesn't seem to be her thing, and I haven't heard her do the whistle, you know, like whistle singing. But I'm sure she's more than capable. I just don't know if she, you know, she probably has it in her bag of tricks. It's just when she's going to pull it out in a song, right? So that's the gold bar for female singers. There is no other female pop singer, R&B singer that can match Floor Jansen. Maybe in timbre, maybe like, okay, Mariah Carey might be better at R&B than Floor Jansen, but Floor Jansen would give her a run for the money. But Mariah Carey can never do metal. She just does not have that voice, right? So, and then if you go Tara Tunin, I'll just call her Tara Tunin. I'm so bad with names, I just can't pronounce names. The original Nightwish singer, she's the ultimate siren. Like again, her voice like haunts you. Like it's, but she's mostly in her head voice. Where, like I say, Floor Jansen has a lot of chest voice. So Clementine, she actually has quite a bit of chest voice, but again, she has a very high timbre, right? So she sings probably 50-50 head voice, if I had to guess, from the ballady stuff to the faster stuff. Out of all the songs I listened to, I probably listened to about 20 different songs from. She does seem to sing more dominantly in her head voice in some songs, but she does seem to sing an awful lot in her chest voice and mixed voice. And it seems like that is the sign of a really talented singer, number one, because most women just sing in their head voice all the time. And you see this, like, this is why I think some female, like lead singer, symphonic metal bands stand out over others, is you got some women that can do symphonic metal in the sense that they can sing in the head voice all the time. And it's always in the oh kind of, you know, that oh sound, you know what I mean? And sometimes you got to bring it back down so that you could appreciate the high runs, right? Like a really cool little thing is like, for example, in the songs Legions of the Sea, where there's that little break where she goes dominoes, 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 like that like just out of nowhere, this comes in. I'm like, that is cool, and then it goes back into, you know, the verse or whatever, and she does it live, and it's just like this little punch, you know, voice punch, right? And like that style, you know, it's not just a melody up and down, or you know, right up here all the time. So it's nice to see down low and up high. Now, her raspy voice, the only place I've really heard like the rasps from her was with a band called, they were formerly members of Halloween, speed metal band back from the 80s, Gamma Ray and Triple X. They're all kind of like, it's the same band, just, you know, this band member from that band and whatever. And they do a song, and again, do not drink any Red Bulls or anything before you do this, because your head will explode, because you're going to be so hyper after you listen to the song. But they did a live at Walk, and they had Clementine Delauney as a guest singer. And it's a song called Save Us. And I think it was done in, I don't think it was that long ago, 2017, something like, don't quote me on the year, but in 2016, 2017, whatever, and it was live. But she's basically synchronized singing the whole song. It's a speed metal song, right? Really, if you remember the band Accept, like Halloween and Accept kind of had that kind of same really aggressive. The drummers are just, they're insane. They're complete savages, especially on that song Save Us. Like that is the just thunder, you know what I mean? It's so good. And she sings that, and you hear her rasp come out a little bit near the end, and you know, like it's a cool rasp, but she still has that very feminine sound. So it's not I don't know if she can do the growl or whatever. Like her voice, I think is almost too clean to do that, but she pulls it off. You know, like again, you got this guy singing like really, really raunchy. You know, it's the guy from Halloween, right? Like this is the guy's an excellent singer, and so he has all these highs, and then you got this angelic like high or like all the lows and the mid range and that aggressive sound, and then you got her just a little bit cutting above with this nice high resonance there, and it almost creates the perfect voice. Um, and they do it together, and then the very end of the song, like they're all headbanging. Like I mean, it's a really high octane song, but that's the most aggressive I've heard her sing, like with the growl and you know like vocal fry and stuff. It's not she doesn't have a lot of vocal fry, where vocal fry is, you know, like guys tend to have more vocal fry because we're usually in a lower timbre. We tend to you know, like that, where like I say, has almost too perfect of a voice to get the vocal fry, which is pretty kind of, you know, it's kind of a weird thing. So she does have a lot of depth and range in comparison to most female singers that you will watch, where like again, there are female singers that can sing higher notes, but they can't go low, they can't, you know, they can't dynamic, you know, they can't sing in the chest voice as well, and she does that very, very well, very, very well. And then she did a collaboration song a couple of months ago with another band, which is really cool, called Leaves Eye, and the song is called Black Butterfly. It is stellar. The two of those women singing is just like, it's haunting, it's chilling, it's operatic, it's so well done. I mean, like bravo, you know what I mean? And I like stuff like that because, and then again, you got this death metal singer in the background, and go, you know, the Russian Queen. You know, he sounds pretty cool. It's funny because that woman that I think her name is Ava or whatever. She's like this blonde lady. She's not very tall, and he's like probably 6'2", big Norwegian looking guy with long hair and all that. Very, very cool. They'd be a cool band to see live, I think. Especially bring all the Viking stuff out on the stage. Again, Viking, pirates, you got it all. But that song is based on history of basically pretty much leading up to the King of Norway at the time, who died at Stamford Bridge in 1066. I believe he was called the Black or the Raven or whatever they called him. I forget what his nickname was, but anyway, he got killed at Stamford Bridge anyway. And the Queen, well, he had kind of like two wives, so the one of them, the song is kind of about her, hearing the death of. This is what my interpretation of Black Butterfly is: hearing the death of, the news of the death of her king. You know what I mean? So like, and the metaphor of the black butterfly. There's a lot of folklore around black butterflies. But anyway, she does like synchronized vocals with the other singer, and it's just beautiful. Like, I'm just like, wow. But that's all like golden voice stuff. Like the notes they hit in there are just so haunting, right? But then again, she can go up there, and then all of a sudden she can come down to the chest voice again and sing really clear, and like, again, not like punch you in the face powerful, but very cut through kind of mid-range, with a nice timbre, and she does it live. And again, putting on, moving around, headbanging, in dresses or pirate boots or whatever she's in, and hopping up and down. So again, the stagemanship is something that whenever you're playing live, I don't care if you're just doing an acoustic thing, I don't care the type of music, think of your audience. What do you think they'd want to see? You know what I mean? And even last night, because I knew everybody in the audience, so to speak, if you want to call it an audience, but they were all faced our way, and whatever, we're playing under the tent, and being as hot as it was, and being as tired as I was from work yesterday, it's funny, you grab the guitar, you throw it on, and all of a sudden, it's just like, your battery level just goes to like 110, right? And so I started, interacting with the audience. You get a little bit of a laugh with them, whatever, and it sucks them into the show. You know what I mean? Like, bring them in, like, invite them in. You know what I mean? And that's what you can learn from like these really good bands and stuff like that, is that it's not always just about the sheer abilities of the musician, because if it was just about that, there's so many musicians that, you know, like, are always, no matter how good you are, there's always somebody better. But can they deliver? You know, can they deliver the experience of something you will remember forever? You know what I mean? It was like, for me yesterday, it was really nice to get complimented by other other singers and players and stuff like that. And it's not that I was any better or any worse or anything like that. It was just that I played something different that they hadn't heard before. You know what I mean? Well, for that, you know, like, these were popular songs to me and, you know, people my age group and stuff like that, but not to their age group, right? So this was something neat. You know what I mean? And then you know, pull in other instruments. So what I think everybody was more impressed with me last night, is not about my ego or anything, is the fact that I started out with the mandolin, and then I come out with the violin, and then I grab the guitar, and then, you know, then I'm playing and singing, and then I'm back to the violin or whatever, and, you know, just moving around like that. And they're just like, that's like, wow, oh, they can do that. And will they remember the songs I played? No, but they'll remember that I played like a whole bunch of instruments. You know what I mean? Like, they'll remember stuff like that. And I know that. That's why, like, I'll go grab an instrument, bring it back, and like, I don't bring them all out at once. I just go, because it was just right in the front yard here, you know. Go grab an instrument, put it back. Plus, it was being hot. I didn't want my instruments out in the heat. But strangely enough, the violin stayed in tune in 38-degree weather. That's crazy. You know, we were under a little tent or whatever, but still. But yeah. So whether somebody's running out on stage, like, again, as a pirate, waving a flag and singing and hopping around and jumping around, or you're just inviting the audience into your show, I think you really have to think about what kind of a gift can you give to your audience. And I think that's something you can see in this band, is that, you know, like the other bands I mentioned, I'm going to be covering a bunch of them anyway, over time, just as something to do, you know. And I think what you're going to get is that the bands that really understand that they're not just performing, they're giving something. You know, they're giving you an experience, you know, and that's what it's about. I think can help people who are trying to find a way to connect with the audience. You don't have to go big theatrics to make it a theatrical thing. Sometimes you just have to bring the storytelling to the people in a way that you invite them in on the story. I did Old Red by, what do you call it? What do you call him? Blake there. Not Blake. What the hell is his name? Yeah, Blake Shelton or whatever. Yeah, Blake Shelton. Yeah, anyway, Old Red. What a great song. You know, like, and I start the song off saying, this song's about dogs and prison. You know, so people would start laughing about it, right? And I did, what do you call it? Broken Heartsville. And, you know, I tell, like, again, of all age groups, I'm sitting there telling them, hey, look, you know, like, I'm a metalhead guy, but I do know the odd country song, and this one's you'll never believe what this one's about. I said, it's about a guy gets dumped by a girl. The whole audience laughs, because every country song is pretty much about that. I said, yeah, but he gets dumped for the devil. You know, so people really enjoyed that song, and I put a little bit of a theatrics to it, you know, the way I sing the song and stuff like that, you know. You know, so because you're telling a story, and people enjoy that, you know. So I'm like, okay, well, what if you had these two singers and the band playing acoustically? Could they pull it off? Well, they did. Talking about Visions of Atlantis. What song did they do? They're all sitting on chairs, right? They're all sitting on chairs in I guess, a little town hall or wherever they're at. And they're sitting there, and it's like, here's the acoustic version of our pirate symphonic metal. And I can't remember what song they did, but whatever song they did, it was either Legions of the Sea, or was it Weather the Storm? I can't remember which one it was. But anyway, again, I think their most epic songs are Melancholy Angel, Legions of the Sea, Heroes of the Dawn, and then Weather the Storm. Weather the Storm, very cool video. Like, you could tell it was done on a budget, but it was very well choreographed for the budget. You know what I mean? And they do that one, and then there's a whole bunch of them. Back to Lamera or whatever, Lumeria. I probably can't pronounce it right, but anyway, they're very epic songs, and they actually do very well acoustically. Why? Because the song is well written, but it's not so much that it's well written; it's that it can be performed in a way that it's a storytelling that they can give that back to you. So it doesn't matter if these people are playing it in a metal version or in a more traditional acoustic version. They can still give you the same experience, and that takes talent. But that also takes, the ability to understand your audience and stuff like that. So hats off to these people and Visions of Atlantis. I think they do great. I don't know any of them. I'm just a pleb on the internet like everybody else. But it's like when you watch it again, it's a nice treat to see people put that much passion into what they do. And when you get the right people combining like that, you could tell, like, again, the band, it would be kind of funny to hear some of their stories about how they mess with each other on stage, because I'm sure I'm watching, I was like, did she just pull out his ear monitor? And the guitar player, did he just step on her dress? Did she just throw his hat across the stage? Stuff like that. Meanwhile, they're singing to each other, holding hands, and she grabs a hat and just tosses it. Right? I'm like, but then I think about back in 1995. I know so many moons ago. The time in my life when I was on stage, and we, like, again, our singer Stacy, she was really short, and we used to kick her across the stage, kind of thing. She'd be like on one side of the stage, you'd kick her in the butt, and then the bass player would kick her in the butt, and the other guitar player would kick her in the butt. And she'd be like, just trying to sing, or kicking her in the butt, like, not hard or anything. It was just kind of like, but she was this tiny little gal, 3-octave range voice. But she could go solo, like she I bet you if she did growl metal, she probably could pull it off. But we had a lot of fun, like, it was just fun. And of course, the bass player and I, sometimes you'd walk up, grab your cord, pull it out of your guitar, and halfway through the song, mess with each other. The guitar player and I'd go over, turn off his amp, Yeah, so we do jokes like that from time to. We didn't do it too much, but whatever. There was always something, eh? There was always something, but yeah, but because you have to have fun with it, and you say, okay, well, that's not very professional. No, it's not, but people see it and they laugh, because it's like, okay, we saw what you guys just did. It's always very subtle little pranks, but they're little pranks nonetheless, right? And when you catch it, it's like, it makes it special. I was like, I wonder if anybody else caught that. Like that's really funny what they just did there. Like, did anybody see it? Like the guy again throwing like fake punches at the bass player. It's like, what if he actually pops him in the nose halfway through the song? Like, I'm sure it wouldn't be done on purpose, but it almost looks like he's gonna hit him. You know what I mean? Like, it's like just messing around with him and stuff like that. But again, it shows that the closeness of the band. I can't speak today. It's too hot to speak. My brain's wearing out. But yeah, so very impressive singer. If I were to rank again singers in different categories, where would I put Clementine Delauney? Delauney. Sorry, I keep calling her Delaney, but Delauney. If I were to place Floor Jansen as the Valkyrie, Terje Tunen as the Siren, Annette Olson as the Tinkerbell, well, I would have to say that she would be, Clementine would have to be the Dark Princess. Yeah, that I think works for her. The Dark Princess, yeah, so she's got that. So I don't know which the next singer I'm going to do. A singer that I think that I should kind of talk about is Annika Griesbergen? I can't pronounce. They're all like Dutch and Finnish and stuff like that, so I can never pronounce their names. But anyway, that woman is an incredible performer for sure. Especially with the Devin Townsend project stuff that she did, I think that, like, just it's epic. But almost anything that woman has ever done, like, I think as far as abilities for hitting high notes, I think she takes the cake of the high notes. I don't think she can do everything Floor Jansen can do, but I think, if we're just going to go into the specialization of hitting a high note from a belt, Annika Grisbergen is probably the highest, metal singer out there. But she also does pop. She also does, um, like she does everything. Like jazz. She does. She's just all over the place. And that's a sign of a really good singer too. Is that they don't just stick in one genre. They have like a lot of side projects, right? And that also tells you how much they enjoy what they're doing. But anyway, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed the video. I know it's not a typical kind of facts-based or fan-based kind of video, but just more of like an overall kind of, take on things. Point of the videos, I guess, just, in these crazy times that we live in, like, again, one thing I've noticed the last few times I've been able to play in front of people, is how much people enjoy it. And they tell you, they're like, oh wow, we've been cooped up for 2.5 years. This was great. You know what I mean? And seeing the smiles on the faces, the claps, the cheers, if you do it really well, sometimes you even get tears, you know what I mean? Is kind of like, it makes you reevaluate what more you can do. How much better you can push yourself. And I believe with that kind of encouragement and mindset, we could see a mini renaissance of people, just trying to make the world a better place, one person at a time, by just, let's put away the madness. There's enough of it. You can binge on that all at any time, but the good stuff, that's the substance that stays with you. So that's why I'm making these videos. It's something completely different from my regular gloom and doom stuff that I'm always covering. Mostly on BitChute. So you guys that followed my old channel, everything's on BitChute. So for that kind of stuff. But for this might lead you there, and whether you like it, you don't like it, whatever. But the idea is, the thought-provoking thing is that, again, if we can inspire to inspire, we can inspire to better. And that, I think, is, the point of these videos. So again, taking people that I find are inspiring, and I won't just cover just female artists. I am going to be covering a lot of male artists, but I'm going to save those guys, more near the end. And I'll probably mostly be talking about guitar players, but I want to get, like, do the same comparison with male vocalists. But most of the male vocalists, like, I mean, if you were to take if Floor Jansen is here for metal singing,